Good, great. Hey, y'all. That's how I start every segment. Isn't that weird? Every segment I say, hey, y'all. What's good? How y'all doing? So, you know how we do. We give it 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Thank you, Winston Cheney, for joining. I appreciate you. Wait till you hear about this. Um, welcome, welcome, welcome. Amy's in the building too. So we're going to give it 3 minutes as we usually do. And well, we got a thumbs up over here. We can't see. Is that who is that? Check in. We got Facebook tonight. But tonight is a special night. We are going to be talking about the book 200 Letters. What's up, Kokomo? Got Kokomo in the building. Hey, Indy, how are you? So, as some of you know, we give it till 7:33 and we get started because we let people come in. We let people join. We are bringing on Amy Watkins, who will be... Why isn't this allowing me to do it? There we go. So Amy Watkins will be joining us on the Instagram feed. We're going to be talking about her book. It is a page turner. Hey, Amy, welcome.
Hey, gorgeous. How are you today?
Doing good. We doing good. We got a group over here on Facebook that are listening, and all of those. Thank you for joining us on Instagram.
If you guys on Facebook have a Instagram page, if you can go to Instagram and follow the Dre and Ro show, so you can be part of the cast that we're doing interviewing tonight, so
Yes,
you can see what's
she is
going
on
on.
Instagram, and I think you, Kokomo and Indy, both of you guys have Instagram. Anthony Gilchrist, I believe
What's up, Gil?
you got Instagram too. If you guys
If y'all do, go ahead and go
go
ahead
ahead,
over there.
switch over to Instagram so that you can see our host, our guest for tonight. So she's gonna be...
If you don't, you guys, I believe you still may be able to hear the interaction. So there we go.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
Amy.
see y'all. I see
Hey,
y'all switching
Dre.
over.
How are
Hey,
you?
hey, Daryl.
I'm hanging in there.
Daryl's
I
in the
can't complain.
building. Tar is in the building. Indy, thank you so much. I see you switched off of Facebook and came to Instagram. We appreciate you. All right, so let's get it started. Um, oh, awesome. Winston Cheney's been reading your book. Okay, so Amy has put together this page turner. And when I say it's a page turner, there are 26 plus chapters in this book, and you cannot put it down. I personally am not a reader. I don't like reading books, novels, any of that stuff. But I read that book so fast. It talks about everything from divorce, cheating, abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. It talks about jail time. It talks about, I mean, I'm going to let her discuss this book, but if you guys get a chance, pick up 200 Letters on Amazon by Amy Watkins. You will not regret it. And I know people have questions, those that have already read it or have started reading it. I know they have questions that they want to ask. Hey, Jamal, switch over to Instagram if you can, buddy. We are featuring a guest tonight, and you'll be able to see her over there. I know you can't see on Facebook, so try and catch us on the Instagram side. But Amy, go ahead.
Wow, thanks for that introduction. Yes, I just wrote a book. It came out on March 28th of this year. And it basically is about everything, everything in life from, like you said, cheating, abuse, and it's not just regular abuse. It's different kinds of abuse: physical abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse. When we think of abuse, we think of a spousal abuse where a male is hurting a female, but this one talks about a lot of more abuses than that. Abuse where someone is isolating their partner from the rest of the world. Abuse where they are taking all the money in the relationship so that the other person has no freedom. So there's abuse of power in it. We have a judge who in the book that seems very, very corrupt, and he abuses his power in the book. We have neglect in the book. We have problems where mothers or parents are abusing their children. So it's all kinds of abuse in the book. And the book is about abuse, but it is also about love and how you love through the most craziest circumstances, how true love conquers everything. It's more than just love between a man and a woman, even though the two main characters are male and a female that love each other. It also talks about love between friends, best friends. It talks about love in the most unusual circumstances. I describe a relationship where two baby mamas have share the same baby father, and they are absolutely love each other, which unfortunately in today's day and age is a very rare thing. But these two women came together to raise their children together, despite, you know, them being fathered by the same man. And they did not let that stop them from loving each other and loving their children and having their children develop a relationship as siblings. So the book there's a lot of heartache and pain in the book, but there's a lot of beautiful things, beautiful relationships in the book as well. So it's both brutal and beautiful. So it's brutal. So.
It's brutal. Man, you talk about some very real things that occur in the book, and I think a lot of people don't know that this book, even though it's like wow and it's eye-opening, there are things that you would never expect to happen in real life, but these are things that you actually endured, correct?
Yes, I would say probably about 70% of the book is true. It's based on my life. It's based on the lives of some of my very best friends, that people who are very close to me, who have shared their stories, their pain when it comes to abuse that they faced as a child, abuse that they faced as an adult. I've combined several stories to make this novel. And so I think that the way it came, that's probably why there's so many different issues in the book. But I think it came out pretty beautiful.
I definitely do. I know a lot of your readers probably have questions for you. I see you got a couple of people on, so if you guys want to ask Amy any questions about this book, please feel free. She can see your comments. One of the things that you talked about was being in a marriage in which your spouse would not even sleep in the same room with you, and then you walked in on him with another woman while you were away visiting his family.
Yes. That's a lot. And that's only in the first couple of chapters.
That's the first couple of chapters. And it's like, wow.
So when I talk about abuse, it's not just a physical thing. I know plenty of people who are in a loveless marriage where their husbands or their wives, for that matter, do not pay any attention to them, do not sleep in the same bed with them, where, you know, they live in the book. One person, I see a question. Yes, one person lived upstairs, one person lived downstairs, and they didn't speak to each other. They didn't sleep, you know, in the same bed. There was no relationship. And yes, that part of the book is very true, unfortunately.
Very true. Good.
It is very true. Yes.
That book is based off of her life, her real life experiences. And when you read it, you're going to be wondering how she's standing, walking. She is a a mother, a naval doctor. I mean, she's just phenomenal. But the book will make you think she should be walking around with her hair like this and just losing her whole mind. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, you know, it's nothing but God, because if it wasn't for God, I would be walking around like a crazy woman in a straight jacket, somewhere locked up. But thank God that He has given me grace and mercy, which I very much needed through,
Yeah.
through my entire life. And I have grown through all of those horrible experiences.
Yeah.
It has made me stronger. It has made me wiser. And it has made me be able to relate to a lot of people. And like she mentioned, I am a doctor. I'm a family medicine physician. I work for the Navy. So I work with a lot of young people who have a lot of issues being in the military, being away from their families. There's a lot of things like abuse going on in the military. And so I'm able to relate a lot to people who are going through similar things. And so even though it was these things were horrible for me to go through, on the other side of that is just being able to inspire others, being able to talk to others, being able to relate to others. And so that can be a good thing. And it helps me to bond with people. It keeps me very humble. And so, you know, there's some pluses to the things that, you know, the devil meant for my demise. Mm-hmm.
Always. Winston Cheney said, I know a well-known celebrity that has happened to. True story. A name that we all know. And a lot of
Wow.
people don't realize that people are going through this stuff. Now, you were bold enough to write a book about the things that you endure, but there are a lot of people that go through these things behind closed doors.
Yeah.
We had a guy come on our show. Was a guy told us his wife had been having an affair, and he had raised a kid, and he come to find out later that wasn't even his kid. And you know, it was all kinds of, I mean, his story, which he was, you know, bold enough to share with everybody, it was just wow. But it was a
Yeah, I
true
remember
story.
that episode.
Yeah. And you watch our show, you see she watch our show. But it was great, you know, having that, because people need it. People don't think they can get through, or they think they're the only ones dealing with it. And in reality, there is so many people going through hurt and random crazy situations.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Winston Cheney mentioned it was a celebrity. And, you know, in the book, of course, the person in the book was a doctor. So sometimes people have this, you know, prejudice thinking that it's only a certain socioeconomic class that goes through it, or only a certain race that goes through it. And abuse and neglect and hurt and pain go through all socioeconomic classes, all races. You know, you can't judge a book by their cover or their bank account.
Right.
It happens to the most beautiful women, the best women and men. It happens to. So it was a great.
Definitely. Go ahead, babe.
I would say, hey, Beyonce got cheated on, right? So, hey,
You
you didn't know.
know, I mean, she's the queen. She got cheated on, so.
I mean, it happens.
Right.
It happens. Another part of your book, you fell in love with someone that ended up being locked up for quite some time.
Yeah.
Is there a question on the floor? What's the name of the book again? I'm about to order now. Thank you so much, Indy. Now, one of the things, and I'm going to come.
It's called 200 Letters by Indy
200
Hawkins,
letters
and it's on
on
Amazon.
Amazon. And
Yep.
one of the things that you mentioned earlier, and I'm gonna go back to my question, but one of the things that you mentioned earlier is how in the book you had made ties with your baby's father's mother, someone who also had a baby by the same guy. And Indy Pritchett, who is watching the show and just asked what the name of the book is my daughter Rashia's father's baby's mama, and we are very close.
Amen. Yes.
So yeah, you can still form those bonds, you know, you can still have that going on in your life. And there are a lot of people that do it, you know. Indy has my daughter's baby sister, you know, and we keep it tight, you know. But yeah, for those of you who just joined, because I see y'all over here on Facebook, I see, well, okay, they leaving, they coming up to Instagram too. We're talking to Amy Watkins, who is the author of 200 Letters, which is a phenomenal book about life. All the stuff you think that you would never go through, she went through, and it is her true story. But my question before that is, you fell in love, and he ended up getting locked up for situations that were occurring, dealing with you, and you're still dealing with some of those situations, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So how does it feel to be in love and write 200 letters while that person is locked up, you know, and just after everything that you had gone through, everything that you have been through with your cheating ex-husband, now you're in love and this guy is in jail and you got to write letters to hold that down. I mean, how?
Yeah, it is a situation that I never thought that I would be in. But it is a situation also that is a test. It's a test if you're away from someone for a long periods of time. Like I said, I've been in the military for 8 years, and a lot of times it was hard to have a relationship, a meaningful relationship, because when you're away or when someone's on deployment and you have to write letters and you only have to focus on your words, and you're not focusing on physical touch or physical intimacy. It's all emotional, 100% emotional intimacy. It can be hard, but in that regards, it's also a blessing. Like, are we compatible in an emotional, on just an emotional level? Can we write and still maintain a wonderful relationship? So it was a huge test, which, you know, we were able to write. We wrote pretty much every day. We talked on the phone very often, even though, as I address in the book, it's very expensive to talk on the phone, and that's a big issue in the book too, is the business of prison.
Yeah.
And how the mass incarceration that that America is facing is really based on money. It is not based on keeping people safe. Yes, we do have people who belong in prison who, you know, hurt other people, who are sick in that regards, who really do need to be in prison. But we have so many more people in prison that are in there for technical errors, for, you know, really little petty crimes, petty things that didn't hurt anybody. And the reason is because they're making a profit off of them. So I didn't, you know, until I had someone close to me be in jail, it's not something that you think about. It's, you know, the why are so many people in jail in America? It's not something you think about until you go through it and you see someone who was unfairly in jail for several months. And so it was a big eye opener, as well as a huge test.
Right. And also, when he was dealing with jail, he got to see who was in his corner and who wasn't. You know, that when you're behind those bars and you have to depend on the outside, it really shows you who's in it for you and who disappears.
Oh yeah, big test. Yep.
Oh, super test.
Yeah, so even though jail was hard and it was like kind of like one of those things, like why is it happening? You know, like I said, God always puts in some goodness in horrendous situations. So through that, Ethan actually learned a lot about himself, learned a lot about the people who were there for him truly and the people who were not. He gained a lot of discernment. He got some time to erase all the noise and to and to be able to really pray and listen to God and read the Bible and focus on God for that time. And so, like I said, what the devil meant for evil, God turned it around for good. So even though it was a horrible thing to go through, there was still some benefit in that struggle and in that pain.
Definitely. So what would you say to those who give up on love and have gone through like the worst experiences that they can possibly go through and think that they can't find love?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people suffer from that, especially women, because you get hurt so much and beat down so much that you don't want to continue looking for love, or you don't even, if love finds you, you don't want to give it even a chance because you're hurting from your past. And what I would say is that everybody is different, everybody is unique. And so you can't prejudge people based on what someone has done to you in the past. So prejudging a man because another man hurt you in the past, or vice versa with a woman, and because another woman hurt you in the past, you hear over and over again, yeah, I ain't never gonna love again because that person did me wrong, and I'm never going to get my heart out to anybody else. But who knows, the next person who like steps in that doorway or walks through that door might be, you might be missing out on something beautiful and special. So I say always keep your heart open and your guard up at the same time, so that you're not closed off to people, but also you're not playing a fool for people. So keep your eyes open and your heart open, is basically what I would say.
And you definitely walk in that, because even though in this book you're very open about the things that you experienced, I've known you for like most of your life, and I know that prior to all this you had gone through even more, and you
Yeah.
still and the book, like I said, is a wow factor. Like you wouldn't even think that somebody would go through so many things and still come out on top. Like you still came out on top. But what they don't know is those were things that you had gone through after you had already gone through hell and high water, and you still managed to find love, to come out on top and be resting in a peaceful place and a happy place. Maul, I see you harden, Maul. That's for you. That's for you. Don't give up, because he be like, forget it.
You never know. The one might walk through the door tomorrow. And just give them a chance. Remember, everybody's different.
Everybody's different. We got a comment on the floor. My book will be here on the 23rd. I can't wait to start reading.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Indy. You will not regret it.
Yes, thank you. I really hope you enjoy the book.
So one thing about this book that a lot of people don't know, you want to talk about the characters in the book?
Which character? There's
There's
so many.
there's one character in particular named Rhonda.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. So, can I say who Rhonda is based on?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so Rhonda is based on Miss Renelia Kelly, my best friend.
Yeah.
And so the character Rhonda, a lot of people have told me that that is their favorite character.
Oh yeah.
And Rhonda she is sweet, but do not cross her. so she's got a lot of Jesus, but she got a little bit of gangster in there too, which is awesome. And so Rhonda, like I said, the book is a lot about love.
Hey, Mama.
Hey, and the love between Rhonda and Angela is just a friendship that is just like a ride or die friendship. You all need friends in your corner like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Someone who will drive 4 hours when they know their friend is hurting, or
For sure.
fly. We've done that before. Flew
Definitely got
when
on
we
the
were
plane.
in different states, flew to each other. They caught an airplane. That has happened. That was not in the book, but that has happened before
Yeah.
with us too. And just have your back for real. Like, so I'm blessed to not just have Renelia as my friend, but I have also Damaris and Tara, and they have been my ride or die through thick and thin, through valleys, through mountaintops. So I'm so blessed to have just wonderful friends who I love and who love me and who have really, I'm so glad God has put them in my life, because without them, like you said, I would have been a crazy person in a mental institute.
And Tara's
And
on
so,
there laughing. I see her judging over there laughing.
I'm sure.
So when you guys are reading this book, just don't judge. These are real life people, real life scenarios. So,
Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
so
Everybody loves that character. People love Erica's character,
I,
which is the
yeah.
baby mama, and the love that has happened between them. And also in real life, or another ride or die sister I have, even though our children have the same father, she's still my ride or die. Even across she lives in a different state, but I love her all the same. We talk still, we go on vacation all the time. So I'm so blessed to have just a lot of ride or die girls in my corner.
Amen to that. And for those of you who have just joined, our mom actually has just joined on Facebook. We're speaking to Amy Watkins. She just wrote a book, 200 Letters, and it describes all of the abuse, all of the neglect, all of the pain that she has experienced in her life, along with just jail time and cheating, and I mean it's a lot. She bases it off of real occurrences with all of her real friends. They may have alias names, but 200 Letters is out on Amazon, uh, Amazon Kindle for Amy Watkins. Uh, Mama says, hi, Amy.
Hi, Mom.
So is there anything, when you wrote this book, what were you hoping to accomplish? Was it just, let me get all this crap off of my chest? My husband just cheated. My new boyfriend is in jail. My life is going crazy. I mean, what were you hoping to accomplish in writing this book? Because again, people are saying, wow, this is a page turner.
Yeah, so at first to write it was very therapeutic, to just kind of get all my thoughts and feelings out on a page. It just helped, like, just give me some emotional relief, because I felt like there was nobody I can talk to, at the time that I was going through some of those things. And then after a while, God really just started speaking to me. And I would, I would be in the shower. It's so weird. I would often be in the shower or asleep in my bed, or at work, and God would just give me like pages of things to write and points to write, and I would just like write sticky notes. And my coworkers, they kind of were like laughing at me, because I had sticky notes all over my office. I had sticky notes in the shower. I had sticky notes everywhere, and I would just write it down, and then later come and it would just fit perfectly in a part of a book. And so when I finished it and decided to release it, my intention was that I hoped that there were other people who would be inspired by it, that there were other, women or men who were in abusive relationships, to know that, that there's more to life than that. I remember looking at some, I was doing some research for my book, and I was looking online about abuse and the things in the Bible about abuse and marriage and kind of things like that. And I came across this horrible website where there was a man who was actually saying that abusing your wife was like something that God wanted you to do, that it was okay to smack your wife around because you're the head, and kind of twisting the Bible's words around to make abuse okay. And I looked it up, and I looked up some things about abuse and violence in the Bible, and how you're not supposed to abuse your wife. You're supposed to love your wife as yourself. Who goes around hitting themselves besides a crazy person? So if you're not going to go hitting yourself, you know, then you shouldn't be hitting your wife because you love your wife as yourself. And I just wrote this statement about, and it's in the book, about using Bible verses and saying, no, we're not supposed to be in abusive relationships. We are supposed to be free. We're supposed to be able to express ourselves. We're supposed to be loved and not abused and not oppressed. And that we are supposed to stay away from people who are violent. And so I know that in the church, in many churches, you know, some women feel like they have to, you know, stay in their marriage because that's biblical, and it is biblical. Yes, you are supposed to stay in your marriage, but if it's causing you physical harm, causing your children physical harm, then that you need to either get some help, escape. Something needs to be done. You cannot live in a place where you're constantly being beaten all the time. So I really wrote the book and released it because I wanted to help women like that. Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that Dre and I touched on. And thank you, Winston Cheney. He said, I'm exemplifying great broadcast etiquette now. That right there from Winston Cheney, 30 plus years in the radio broadcasting chain, that's love right there. I appreciate that. But we touched upon how nowadays people get into a relationship and they done. Everything that you went through, that exhibits somebody that should have just walked immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And you stayed and you stayed and you stayed until it just got to the point where it was like, okay, I gotta go. But nowadays, people don't stay in their marriages. They don't stay in their relationships. Oh, I got a boyfriend. You know what? Today I'm in love with him. Tomorrow I don't like him no more. You know, and they just it's over.
Yep.
So you exhibited the, what do you call it? The old school love.
Yeah. Because we kept calling it like, I call it like 2 generation ago love.
Yeah.
Or was it 2 generation ago love? Like our grandparents who just stuck it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just look, we gonna work it out. Ain't nobody. Then you go in your room, I go in my whatever, but ain't nobody leaving.
Ain't nobody leaving.
Right. Right.
So we could live in two separate places, but we staying together.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays that's just not, I mean, even from this coronavirus, people have already like I've got stuck with my spouse and I can't stand them. I'm out. You know.
Yep.
So, you know, what you exhibited in the book, it was like, wow, she's truly a ride or die. Her husband is sleeping in another room, not speaking to her, making her do everything that she
Mm-hmm.
possibly could be doing, even though she's a doctor full time with 3 kids and he ain't working. It was almost like, why aren't you leaving? You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Such a strong woman. Daryl Watkins, that's got to be a relative.
That is my beautiful aunt. Hi, Daryl.
Hey, auntie. Yeah, I agree. I think that it takes a strong woman to go through that. And again, how you're just standing strong. You wrote a book about it that encourages people to say, and not just women. This book is not just an encouragement to women. There's chapters and chapters about how her man was dealing with unfairly being locked up for something that wasn't even he wasn't supposed to be locked up, and he was locked up for like 6 months. Mm-hmm. And the people that he met, the ways that he was treated, and also it teaches you about how family, even though you think that your family is real tight, even family can be stabbing you in the back. It teaches you a lot of lessons. The book teaches you lessons about your friendship. Again, yes, I'm in the book because she is my best friend. But it even talks about how our friendship got tested, because you know how your friends be like, why you dealing with that trash? That, you need to leave. You need to go. And people don't want to hear that, you know, and she got into a place where she didn't want to hear any more nonsense, negativeness about her relationship. So it teaches that even when you are a friend, you need to let people live their life. You know, it has a lot of lessons in the book where, again, it's unbelievable the things that she dealt with. And you guys, please check it out. It's 200 Letters by Amy Watkins, and you can find it on Kindle and Amazon. I am this beautiful copy that we've flashing. We're actually going to give away this copy to the first person that asks a very what meaningful question. uh, let me think. I don't know. We gonna give a book away though, but y'all gotta act like you want it. How about that? Denise, how you doing?
Nita, I don't know if you're on Instagram or not. If you are, if you want, you can cross over to Instagram. We're actually interviewing Amy, the author of the book that we're discussing.
Yeah, she on Instagram. She's on the screen, and she is speaking about this book. So, is there anything that you want people to know? Any message that you just feel like this is it? This is it right here.
Yeah, I mean, there's, like you said, there's so many lessons and messages in the book. One of them is actually mental health, and most a big thing is untreated mental health. So in the book, there were actually a lot of, if you're a psychiatrist and you read the book, you will probably be able to diagnose several people with some things. There's
Not me. She ain't
bipolar
talking about
disorder.
me.
I'm not talking about you this time. But yeah, there's bipolar disorder that runs rampant in the book. There's also depression, anxiety, and PTSD that runs rampant in the book. In fact, Angela's character, the main character, there are scenes where you can clearly see she suffered from PTSD from all the things that she went through. And luckily she got help. But for some of the other characters in the book, Terrell, Caroline, who probably had bipolar disorder, they did not get help. And what happened in their lives was actually was devastating. You know, one person lost their family,
Yeah.
one person went to jail, and so it's another thing that we can discuss, because especially in the Black community, a lot of times people suffer from those things, and there's a stigma about going to get help for it. And I just wanted to, that's another thing that I want to address in the book, is that we should not look at mental illness as there's, you know, something horrendous, but when it goes untreated, then that's where the real problem is, when it goes untreated.
Yeah.
If you go to get treatment, you're a strong person, you're a smart person, you're a wonderful person, you know, you're doing right by your family, you're trying to get the help that you need to protect your family, your loved ones, your friends. But if it goes untreated, there can be dire circumstances. I see some questions.
Yeah.
How did you shield your children from seeing what you were feeling? That is a great question.
Who asked that?
Look like Tara.
That is a great question. I actually really sucked at that. I tried my best to close the door when I cried, to when they would walk in my room, to put on a big smile on my face, and say, oh, everything's great, everything's fine, everything's going to be okay. But, you know, kids are really smart, and they can tell when you're upset, when you're hurting. They know when something's not going right. You know, the abuse that happened early in the relationship, my kids saw all that, and that
They did. They did.
That had an impact on them, a huge impact. It caused anxiety, it caused depression in the kids as well. Another reason why, if you are in an abusive relationship, you need to get help right away, and your partner needs to get help right away. So it is very hard to kind of shield them, but I do a lot of talking with my children. When we go through something, I go upstairs and talk to them individually and say, you know, what are you feeling? What do you know about this? And then I try to explain it. I use the Bible, I use church, I use family, I use friends. My mom is a pastoral counselor. I use her and her wisdom. And it really takes a village to raise a child. And luckily, I've had a great village with my three best friends, with my mom. And so between all of us, and even with counseling, like my daughter has had to go through counseling through all this. So it was hard to kind of shield them from that. You can't shield them from everything. So a lot of things that you can't shield, you have to talk to them about, get some understanding, bring God into it, pray, a lot of prayer, a whole lot of prayer. And that's pretty much how we got through it. And then I saw the question, am I Dr. Wallace? Yes, I am Dr. Wallace. Dr. Wallace is based on my character. It's based on me. That character is based on me.
Yeah. Tara says she already got the book on Kindle, so she can't win it, but kind of can, because that's not the book. But anyway,
a physical copy of it.
physical copy. Thanks, Danita. We're doing good. I hope you are as well. Praying for you, keeping you in prayer. So that's all I got. What about you, babe? You got anything?
No, I just want to say, Amy, how I'm proud of you. I'm so happy for you. Um, what I was sitting here just looking at is the glow that you have talking about your project, right? So
Yes.
I see the passion. So I'm so happy for you. And I just, wish you continued success. Um, I hope more books come out.
Yes, sir.
Because I just love to see the passion when it come out of people. And me personally knowing you, it really feels good. It really feels good. So
Thank
like I
you.
said, I'm happy, so happy for you.
Hey, Donnell.
Yeah.
What's up, bro? I'm gonna give you guys maybe one more minute to ask your questions, and then we're gonna release Amy from the call, and we can speak about whatever you guys wish to talk about tonight. Anybody got any other questions for Amy? And yes, I'm still giving out a copy of the book.
But I have a question. So when you were like, at what moment, like, can you remember where you were emotionally, mentally, when you decided, you know what, I need to put this in a book. I need the world to know what I went through.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good
Yeah. So I would say, at first when I wrote, it was just for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be just for me. It was just my relief. And I didn't write in the thought that I was going to share it with the world.
Mm-hmm.
But when I finished it, I said, I need to share this with the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember loading it up and publishing it and putting it out for sale on Amazon. And my feeling was complete anxiety, complete panic attack. I was in full-blown panic mode for days. And the reason why is because I really put my whole heart into that book. I did not sugarcoat things in that book. I talked about my own humongous flaws, which there are plenty of them. I talked about my insecurities. I talked about, the hurt and pain that I've gone through, some of which I caused myself. And so I put my heart out there, and it is like very anxiety provoking to have to put if you share your heart with one person,
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard for you to share your heart with one person and say, hey, this is who I really am.
Right.
Are you still gonna love me? I just shared my heart with the entire world.
Yeah.
So so it was so anxiety provoking. But when I heard people come to me and say, oh my God, I couldn't put the book down. I went through the same thing, and thank you for giving me hope. You have truly inspired me. When I hear people say, oh my God, I can't believe someone went through that. My life, is I can deal with the things that I'm going through now because this person was so strong. If she could be so strong, I can be strong too. So when I hear things like that, it just makes it so much worthwhile. And I think that's the glow that you see, and the happiness that you see when people, especially when I hear it from people who women who have been abused, and they come to me and they're like, oh my God, I feel so much better. Now after, a lot of times you feel guilt when you're the abused woman. You feel guilt. You feel guilt when you leave.
Yeah.
And so a lot of women have come to me and just said, I feel a relief from your book. So that makes it worthwhile.
Definitely, definitely.
You know what? You said something. I was watching a show tonight that kind of touched on what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
In this particular show, the women were, attacked, right?
Yeah.
And they were, other excuses were, I should have, or maybe I shouldn't have, so they were giving excuses, like it's almost their fault. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's crazy how minds think like that. We automatically be like, whoa, woe is me.
If I didn't do this,
Yeah.
that wouldn't have happened to me.
So,
Right.
I think that's interesting. After looking at that, then hear you saying that, it just like, wow, the people really believe that. Like, some people can just believe that, like, they don't deserve love.
Mm-hmm.
It's not meant for me, or this, that, and the other. And like you said, you opened up your, like you said, you open your eyes, open your heart. Because it's out there. It's out there. You got to go through some stuff, but it's out there. But like
Yeah.
anything great, you have to go through something to get to the greatness. So, like I said, I'm glad you did share. I'm quite sure you touched a lot of people.
Definitely.
Probably got more people who may feel like, you know what? Yes, I need to release this. Because what you did to me, for me, what I think of is, what people don't understand is, when you keep all that stuff bottled up, whatever, it can become a sickness. You know what I mean? It can become an illness. It can take over. It can overwhelm you, depression and all this stuff. So it lets people know that it's many ways to release it. Like you say, even if you feel like you're uncomfortable talking to somebody, put it in a book, put it on paper,
Put it on paper.
but get it out.
One thing I used to do when I would have stuff built up inside of me, I would write it down and then ball the paper up and throw it away. So I was releasing it from myself, but and that was a good thing. It felt good. It felt good. And like Dre said, you've touched a lot of people just by sharing your story. Ma, if you're still on, I have a book for you. That's not who won the book. That's just our mama. We got to handle that. For those of you who mentioned that you purchased the book tonight, thank you. Make sure after you read the book that you rate her book on Amazon. Give it 5 stars, even if you don't want to. Okay. And let her know how you feel about the book.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
So, have you always want to write a book? Have you always felt like you want to be an author or anything like that?
When I was young, like when I was in high school, I hated reading. And then I picked up The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier, and I just completely fell in love. I had never read anything like that before. Most of the reading that you do in high school are boring, old English, like that. So after I read her, and then I went to college, I would write short stories, and then when I was probably 22, I started to write a book that I never finished. And then this year I picked it up again. So I didn't always want to be a writer. It just kind of came. And so now that I put that on the paper, I'm like, praying for inspiration for a new book, which I actually do have some inspiration for some new books. But I'm waiting on God to give me some words to put in there, as he did with the book that I just finished.
Honestly, it felt like you like exploded on paper, because I have never read a book 26, 25 plus chapters unless it was for school, and even my school books ain't that long. So so it was almost like you just was like, okay, blah 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 blah, blah, and you just let it all out, and it was powerful.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. I mean, it's funny, like, you know, my friends will say, my co-workers would be like, she was just like typing, like,
Yeah.
and that's how it would be. I would just like type so fast, and I type very fast. I type almost as fast as I talk, and so sometimes it would just be pouring out.
Yeah.
The words just poured out. So it was it was a great experience to be able to write the book.
Definitely. I think people will look at you and have a whole new respect for you. If they didn't know who you were before, they know now.
Yeah, yeah. Not just respect, but also like, hey, she's human. A lot of people look at doctors and they're like, oh, it's a doctor. And it's like, no, we're human. We make mistakes. We
They
have
do.
jacked up personal lives.
Let me tell you, man, you're right about that, how they look at doctors, because every time I say, oh, yeah, my best friend is a doctor in the Navy, they be like, what?
Yeah,
Well, what do you do? You know, and I'll be like, what? Oh, excuse me.
I know.
You know, but yeah, it's like a big old grandiose, you know, thing.
Yes.
When you were writing the book, did you go back and take some things out because it was too graphic? Winston Cheney.
These are powerful questions.
Powerful.
I did not take things out. There were points in the book where I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't write that. And then God was like, no, I want it to be real. Put that in there. Yes, it was a mistake. Yeah, it was horrible. Yeah, you threw a cup when you were mad.
Yeah.
Put it in there. And that's what I did. Yeah, there were some sexual things. Yeah, put that in there because I want people to know, number one, that, you know, you're human. I don't want you to sugarcoat it because I want people to know humans make some god awful mistakes, and God still loves you despite those mistakes that you made. You just go back to God. He is there with open arms just waiting for you to come back. And I wanted to reflect that in the book. So even though I was thinking like, oh, this might be a little too much for the book, I left it because I wanted people to really be able to relate to it and, you know, feel like, okay, well, you know, I have an anger problem too. So, you know, God still loves me. I'm just gonna try to work through this. So that's why I chose to make it. There are some very graphic scenes.
Oh yeah, it's some graphic stuff. There's some cussing. It's some, that I'm gonna tell y'all, I've never been so emotional over a book. It goes from like love to hate to pure to speaking to God to cussing somebody out to talking about sex to, I mean, it's all over the place, and it's nothing that you don't experience reading that book. Not one thing. And tonight I would like to give this book to Winston Cheney.
Yay! Congratulations!
Congratulations, Winston. Get with me. Text me your address so we can get it sent. Now, listen, with this COVID thing, you'll get it when I get out, which may not be soon, but you're going to get it. You're going to get it. Congratulations.
So, any other questions for anyone? Oh, he said thank you. He said thanks. Any more questions? We have a little more time. You guys can come up with your questions, whatever case may be. Again, I just want to just say how happy and proud I am of you, Amy. I just love when people, you know, have a passion for something, able to, you know, go through. And I'm glad you feel strong enough to put your truth out there. You know, that's powerful.
Yeah.
It just makes, well, for me, it just makes me be like, wow, you know, what things have I, you know, some things I've held back that I shouldn't have, you know, it's my truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, just be honest. And that way there's no misunderstanding of the person's character. Like, it's out there. This is me, you know.
Yeah.
So
You never know who you're gonna bless.
yeah. So I applaud you. I really, really, really do.
David said he's late. David, we just talking about 200 Letters by Amy Watkins. You can get that on Amazon. It's an amazing book. It tells about her story, things that she's been through. I know you also have a powerful story of things that you have gone through in your life, so you can relate to it. It talks about marriages, divorces, breakups, emotional abuse, physical abuse, lying, cheating, jail time, sex, being a Christian and being judged. Because one of the things that continuously comes up in the book is someone judging her Christianity. Well, you a Christian, why you do that? Well, if you were such a Christian, why did you do this? And meanwhile, the other person is being a Christian too. You feel me? So it's a lot. It's a lot of things. Yeah, I see you. I see you. I know, David. I know you've been there. So it would be a good book to get.
Yeah. So everyone, please, 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 200 Letters by Amy Watkins, Amazon, Kindle. Please go support this project.
We got a question on the floor.
Yep. So I think the question was, does anything in the book like affect my current relationships? In a good way, actually. It affects it. So I am in a relationship, and I think that the experiences that I went through affected my relationship in a great way. In the fact that the person who I am now in a relationship is actually a wonderful person. He lets me express myself. We have great conversation, and I think that having been through what I've been through, I appreciate him being a good man to me. He's also been through some things, so he appreciates me as a woman. We have learned a lot about what to deal with, what not to deal with, how to communicate, how to talk, things like that. So I think that it has affected my current relationship in a great way. And I think that if we hadn't gone through some of the pain that we have gone through in the past, that we wouldn't have learned the things that we learned in order to be a better woman for him and for him to be a better man for me. So I think it affected it in a good way.
Awesome.
That's
awesome.
Great.
Dave,
Great.
say you're a beautiful, beautiful soul, blessed woman, better
Thank
person.
you.
All right, y'all. We are at our time. Y'all know we try not to go over the hour.
No, but this was worth it. This definitely was worth it.
Definitely.
And thank you guys for hanging in there with us. We want to thank Amy again for coming on and sharing her truth. And everyone, again, please go copy. Please support this. I mean, you support a bunch of stuff that ain't. This right here might change somebody's lives, man. You know what I'm saying?
I think so.
So let's get out here and support this project. All right.
All right. We love y'all as always. Thank you, Amy, for joining us.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right.
Thank you.